Superbikes on Sky Sports with Bennett's Bike Insurance.
The British Superbike Championship circus moved to Cheshire's picturesque Alton Park for round 4 in the series. In today's programme, we get on board with Britain's latest Superbike hero, Neil Hodgson. How hard was his return to the British Championship after his World Superbike success? We find out. Qualifying for the Superbike grid is a tough job on a track like Alton. Add bad weather and it's a nightmare. But on race day, the sun came out and the round 4 drama began. John Reynolds was the series leader and in pole position. This year's British Supersports rules allowed the Ducatis into the series. They're yet to win a race. Would this be their day? And we round out our Alton Park coverage with a controversial and dramatic second Superbike race. If you were in any doubt how much these men want to win, watch this. We start today's show, though, with a man whose performance at the British round of the World Superbike Championship was nothing short of stunning. Just when the fans were missing injured world champion Carl Fogarty, Neil Hodgson lifted his form to take his first ever World Series win. As he came back to earth, Claire Smith was waiting for him.
Well, we've got our British Superbike regulars back with us here at Alton Park after showing the rest of the world just how strong they really are. Well, of course, the man of the moment, Neil Hodgson, a huge congratulations. Unbelievable performance by you the other weekend.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I've just about come down. You know, yesterday we practiced here at Alton Park and I was about 3 seconds off the pace. I wasn't thinking about Donington, but I think I was just trying a little bit too hard, trying to show everybody how good I am. But it was fantastic. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but that's history now, and I'm trying to really focus on this weekend.
Of course you are, but that race will go down in history as being one of the best World Superbike rounds we've ever seen. It looked a bit like a British Superbike round at one point. You and Chris having some real battles going on there. It was brilliant. Yeah,
I thoroughly enjoyed it with Chris. He really kept me honest throughout the race. You know, I didn't slack off at all. I knew if I did slack off, then he'd have been there to steal the point. So I pushed as hard as I could, and the fact that he pushed me so hard was the fact that we closed in on Killy. You know, we'd have never caught him otherwise. So I probably owe Chris a beer. You know, it was a great race. I thoroughly enjoyed battling with Chris. I trust him as a racer. He's very, very hard, but you can guarantee he's going to be hard. You know, so he doesn't catch you off guard. You always, you know, you have to ride a bit defensive when he's behind you.
Well, we're seeing a really happy, confident, more aggressive rider out there this year. You've got a really good long race setup, and you're really happy with that team, aren't you?
Yeah, the GSE racing team, we've worked so hard. You know, we don't worry that much about going fast in qualifying. We just work hard on getting the race set up, and you know, I've learnt a lot from Colin Wright, the team manager. He's really taught me a lot about racing, and you know, you're never too old to learn. I'm still pretty young, but you think you know it all and you don't, you know. And what I've done in the team, I've really listened to everybody around me, and I've learnt as much as I could off them, and they've improved me as a rider.
What about the speculation going around that the orange is going to turn to blue and your World Superbike bid could really be taking off fairly soon?
Yeah, well, INS were bought out last year, at the end of last year, by Cable and Wireless, and at Donington the top boffins from Cable and Wireless were there to see what this motorcycle racing was all about. So, you know, I put on a good show for them at Donington, and there was a large crowd there, and I know they were really impressed and they enjoyed what they saw. So hopefully for next year they're going to get a bit more involved and, you know, pump a little bit of money in. And, you know, I know the team are planning to do World Superbikes, but a lot of it does come down to finance. So it would be nice if Cable and Wireless, you know, came on board and you know, put the money behind us.
It certainly would. Well, you're obviously no stranger to the World Superbike arena. You were built up to movie star kind of status at one particular point, and obviously came in for a lot of criticism, and that's very difficult to cope with. Do you think you went in too young too soon, and are you ready now?
Yeah, I think I'm a lot more ready. Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. I think I got the opportunity a little bit too soon, and don't don't get me wrong, I tried, you know, but it wasn't meant to be. You know, I finished 8th in the world, I finished 9th in the world. It wasn't like, you know, I was finishing 18th in the world. I was still right there, you know, but I just liked that last little bit of aggression, and those last, you know, then the final few laps, that little bit of determination you need. But that's something I've found in myself, and you know, I am riding better, and I've all the sort of weak links I've managed to repair, and yeah, you know, I think, well, I'm confident I can go back and be a regular top 3 man.
Neil Hodgson may have been the best British rider at Donington, but not the only successful star from Britain's pool of superbike talent. I spoke to the rest of our top contenders.
At the end of the day, we had 2.6, which, you know, wasn't so bad, but you know, I knew that we could run up the front, and I knew that we were possible at podium positions. We just didn't get away with them in the first race, but had a good race otherwise. And then in the second race, chose the wrong tyre, and you know, that was my mistake. But you know, looking at the bigger picture, when I came away from the weekend, I thought, well, 2.6, that's not so bad. But it's just I know I can compete with anyone in the world now, and so you know, if I'm not, then I won't feel happy.
It was a very frustrating weekend, but I slugged it out just behind Slighty for 12th place in the first race, which was a fair result for some people, but I was disappointed. When you see the other guys up front, like Chris and Neil, you know, I was made up for those guys, and they've really opened up the eyes to our championship, so brilliant.
John, last time I saw you at the World Championship round at Donington Park, you had the most fearsome face I think I've ever seen. Not a good weekend for you.
No, not really. We had quite a disappointing weekend, really. Practice went well, testing and everything else, but the race basically didn't work for us.
Reasons why?
Yeah, partly my fault. I mean, I chose the wrong tyres and made a big hash of that in the first race, and the second race the clutch was grabbing on the line, which caused me not to have a great start. Then I got tangled up with James, and the leading bunch got away, and I tried to get back, and then I got black flagged with a bit of an oil leak.
The bikes were up to spec. British riders were going very, very well at the weekend. How much pressure was on the team to perform?
Yeah, a lot, but I mean, no more than any other race. I mean, the British Championship, what we're doing here today, is what we're after winning, and of course, it's nice to do well at World Superbike, but at the end of the day, if it did go wrong like it did, then, you know, we can walk away and think, well, it was a bad weekend, but we can learn from that, and then hopefully Brands Hatch, when it comes around for the World Superbike again, we'll have another go. Donington Park World Superbikes, probably the most exciting race I've ever seen at Donington Park. Great atmosphere. Did you feel it from where you were?
Oh yeah, it was amazing. I mean, you struggle to hear the crowd when you go around, but you could physically see them jumping up and down and waving around and stuff. And the last few laps, when Killy started coming back, it just got manic. Really, it was brilliant.
Enjoy the ride?
Oh, it's fantastic. It's kind of, the first race seemed to last an eternity. I just kind of things didn't really, I didn't ride as good as I've ridden, and didn't quite choose the right tyre, and it just seemed to drag on and on and on and on. And it was like, it seemed like 45 laps, not 25, whereas the second one, it just lasted like it was like a sprint race at Mallory Park. It was brilliant.
Your style is one that the fans have really warmed to. In fact, you're probably one of the most popular British riders for some time now. Do you feel any responsibility to perform?
Well, I mean, I always try my hardest, and I never want to let anybody down, including myself. So, I mean, it's just, you know, they know I'll try. Every time I get on a bike, I give 100%, no matter what. Even if things don't go my way, it's not through the lack of trying, and I think that shows through in the way I ride. So, you know, I think I'm pretty safe.
Some would say your style is a little bit extravagant and possibly dangerous even.
Well, I mean, none of the riders have ever said that. You know, we all get on really well. I mean, Neil and I, we raced close the week before, we raced close that week. We never actually touched fairings once all race. I had to lift it up out the bike out of the seat a couple of times when he passed me under Starkey's, and he had to do the same at the Melbourne Loop. But it's just how it is, you know. We were nicking each other's lines, and there was places where he was a lot faster than me, and places where I was a little bit faster than him. So I mean, it made for a good race, and that's what people want to see. So.
Were you disappointed? I mean, it was a great race. Were you disappointed to finish second? Probably a stupid question, but we'll get the answer from you anyway.
Well, obviously I wanted to win it, but I mean, I didn't go into the race thinking I could. I mean, I went into the race wanting to win, but not, you know, realistically thinking that, you know, I was going to be up against it. So when I realised that a rostrum was possible, and then it went from a rostrum, you know, just scraping on the rostrum to a second. Kind of when Killy made that mistake on the last lap, I was like excited that I just got past him. I forgot all about Neil was leading the race. I was like, no way. So not disappointed really. It gives me something to aim at for Brands maybe.
Hodgson was pretty awesome, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, I mean, he rode the bike exceptionally well. He's been riding really well the last few weeks in England, and you know, I paid tribute to that at Thruxton. He controlled the race there in the wet, and you know, did a real good job. Pushed ever so harder than some of the guys behind definitely wanted to go. They're all waving their hands around trying to get the race stopped, and he was still pushing on. So he went to Donington. He's very good around Donington. His bike worked well, and he just stuck it in there. I mean, fair play.
Kind of underlines the standard of British Championship racing at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've got a bit of an advantage. It's a home circuit. We had a race there only a few weeks before, but those guys